Who else is absolutely pumped for the remake of the Toxic Avenger? And hopefully it's just the first of many, many, many campy movies to come to the big screen. But first, please like, subscribe, and share. Anything you can do to help my new channel grow will be greatly appreciated. Yes, the first images of Peter Dinklage as the new Toxie in the Toxic Avenger have finally been released. And if you have no idea what the Toxic Avenger is, it's pretty much the most offensive superhero movie that I've ever seen. Basically, a complete nerd who's very, very small gets bullied and thrown into some toxic waste. But instead of dying, he ends up gaining superpowers and he kills and gets vengeance with his mop. Yes, this janitor is out for revenge and he will kill anyone that gets in his way. And unlike your standard superhero movie, it is very violent and very, very crass, because it was made by Troma Pictures. And just like the Toxic Avenger, pretty much anything that came out of Troma was very campy and very rated R. But you might say we have a lot of mature adult superhero stuff now. We have The Boys, we have Invincible, things like that. And I would say that is exactly the opposite of what we're going for. Those are high-end, high-budget productions. They have millions and millions of dollars behind them, very similar to how the MCU and DC work. But what if they almost had no money behind them? Then you get towards the camp range of films. Films that look like they were produced by a bunch of kids going to college. Just a bunch of violence, sex, and a bunch of really offensive imagery that can barely be allowed to go on the big screen. Frankly, most of the Troma movies barely even made it to the big screen. They definitely would not be the kind of movies that you would see in a screen right next to Moana or a Disney film. But that's just it. The rated R superhero movies you see now, let's say Deadpool and Wolverine, they have no problem being on a screen right next to a Disney cartoon. Because frankly, they aren't all that bad. If you think movies like Deadpool and Wolverine are the end of the spectrum, you have a lot coming. Because frankly, stuff like Troma, stuff like the camp stuff from the 90s and 80s are incredibly, incredibly offensive. But then again, people were less offended back then. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing, but I'm just glad as somebody who finds this kind of stuff funny that it'll at least be in the theaters again. Do I expect the Toxic Avenger to be as offensive as the most recent Toxic Avenger I saw, Toxic Avenger 4, Citizen Toxie? Probably not. The most inoffensive part of the opening scene of Toxic Avenger 4 was there was a terrorist attack at a school. That's right, that was the least offensive thing that was going on during those scenes. The fact is that it was shocking, it was funny, and we didn't take everything so seriously. Camp movies aren't supposed to be taken seriously. If you take John Waters' movies seriously, you probably shouldn't be in the theaters. That's right, like Troma, John Waters used to push the boundaries of gender roles, sexual identity, and really offensive situations. And at that time, people in their late teens and 20s and 30s found it interesting. They found it different. They enjoyed camp. They weren't constantly marching and complaining about things that they found offensive. And if you found John Waters offensive, you just didn't go to the next one. Maybe I'm sounding old, but I miss the fact that there used to be a lot of really offensive movies. And the reason being is that they made all of their money from rentals off of VHS or DVD. A lot of stuff that used to be on DVD and VHS was way, way too offensive, but you had to specifically pick it out from your Blockbuster or your local rental place. So it didn't matter if it was offensive to the general person, it was only needing to be unoffensive to you, the person picking it up. But now that everything has to be generally available to everyone on a streaming service, if it's deemed too offensive, the streaming service won't pick it up. And now we're losing the ability to have camp movies. There might still be stuff like Sharknado and things like that, but that movie's not offensive. It used to be that art was needing to push bounds, and one of the biggest forms of art in our time period was film. And whether it's satirical or political or just trying to make you enjoy yourself while you're watching it, and frankly, a lot of stuff that's on the big screen now, I find offensive because it's so dang boring. So I, for one, will go and support the Toxic Avenger when it comes out. Even if it's only a tamed down rated R film, it'll still be offensive and more than likely absolutely hilarious. Plus, who doesn't want to see Elijah Wood as a villain? So support those movies that are weird, that are offensive, that are pushing the boundaries in every single way, whether it's violence, sexual, or just its own form of art. We need to return to a time where all types of movies were available, where all types of movies were fun for maybe you, maybe someone else, but somebody would have found them fun. In the end, we do need to return to camp. Hey, thanks for watching my video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check out those other videos on screen now.